So, Johnny and Olwen, you've been to London to see Under Milkwood, the new production at the National Theatre. I was just wondering, how exciting is it to get on a train and go to London again after all these, well, it's a year and a half, isn't it, maybe?
Well, we went by car.
Oh,
Yes.
I rang the National Theatre's car park,
yeah.
and you can book online,
Oh,
and
brilliant.
it's right underneath the theatre, right?
Mm.
And there was plenty of room, and for 5 hours it cost me £7.50. I couldn't believe it.
Goodness me, that's a great deal. I might just do that next time I go to London anyway.
That's
Yes.
right. That's what we thought.
It's fantastic. Well, we've done it before, actually, when we went to see If Anything Happened on the Way to the
That's
Borough.
right.
So we knew about it, and we thought, oh, it's much better to go by car.
Yeah.
So
Well, especially now, you don't really cram in
Yeah.
a train, do you, or
No.
a tube or anything.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it cost us the 15 quid congestion charge,
Mm.
but it's worth the price to,
Yeah.
door to door.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's fantastic. So you got there. I mean, were you nervous travelling? Going that? So daft.
No.
Going that, no, you were okay. You're all COVID secure, and you were quite happy about the whole
yeah.
thing.
We're both double jabbed.
Yeah, fantastic. What could possibly go wrong, as I keep on saying.
But
Right.
it was very exciting to think about going to the theatre again.
Yeah.
They've been closed for so long, and yes, it was a fabulous day out.
Fabulous to hear. And the theatre itself, I mean, was every seat used, or was it a bit like these football stadiums now with every couple of seats? There's gaps in between.
Yeah, there was gaps in between. We were in a row of like 6. There was only 2 of us in it.
Right.
So there was 2 each side of us,
Lovely.
empty.
Yeah.
So it was great. We had a great seat.
Yes,
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we were very lucky because quite a few of our friends are in the production. So I'd emailed one of them and said, "Can you possibly get me any tickets, because it's sold out?"
Yes.
And so she said, yes, they do keep so many tickets for the cast. So we had lovely seats for £20 each, which was fantastic.
And it is an amazing cast, and so you say quite a few of them, but it's a star-studded Welsh cast.
Oh, yeah, all
Yes.
Welsh. I think one lady wasn't Welsh. I think she was from Bristol. She had a Bristol accent.
Yeah, she did.
But most of them were, they were all Welsh. I mean, there was, let me think. We had Gaynor Morgan Rees, the lady that gave us the tickets.
Yeah.
There was Gillian and Lisa Thomas, who's another friend of ours.
Ivan Hugh David.
Even Hugh David, or Hugh Boggs, as we all know him as.
Hugh
Don't
what?
ask me why
What do you call him?
Hugh Boggs.
Hugh Boggs. Hugh Boggs.
I don't know. I think what happened was, I did ask him once. He said, because when he's in school, he fell into the toilet, into the urine.
Oh.
So they called him Hugh Boggs.
And it stuck. And it stunk and it stuck.
Yeah.
And then Michael Elwyn. I played his mother in Stella, and he was in it as well.
Yes.
He's the partner of
Alison
Steadman, who I worked with in Gavin and Stacey.
Yes.
Oh, we knew
He's a
everybody.
Welsh guy. He's from Wales.
Yeah, that's.
Yes.
Who else?
And then there was Carl Johnson. He's in it. Oh, he was fantastic.
Was that the old guy, Carl?
Yes,
Johnson?
he played the Eli Jenkins part. He was fantastic. There was Lee Mengo, Anthony O'Donnell, who's
Right.
done ever so well. I mean, he's worked quite a lot with the National. Sean Phillips, of course, and Michael Sheen, and Susan Brown. Who else? Oh, there were lots. Because Kesrina James, that's a lovely name, isn't it? Kesrina.
What part was she?
She played the lady at the beginning. She was the nurse.
Oh,
to
she was
start
very
with.
good. Yeah.
She was
Yes,
the nurse. Hold on a second. There's no nurse in
yeah.
Under Milkwood.
No.
Now the concept was totally different,
Right.
but it worked.
Okay.
Okay. It starts off where they're in an old people's home with all these people sitting around, and in comes Michael Sheen, who's playing the first voice, to see his father, who's played by
But Carl Johnson.
who's got dementia. Okay. So he can't understand, he doesn't know who he is, blah, blah, blah. And he's getting really frustrated about this. So he gets an album of photographs out and starts showing him the pictures, trying to jog his memory. And eventually he said, you remember, it's a dark moonless night in a small town, the Ellison, blah, blah, blah. And he does it like that. And then all the characters in the old people's home transform into the characters of Under Milkwood. And they all go back again at the very end, back to being in the old people's home.
Yes.
I got a little tingle
Marvelous
then.
concept.
Yeah, I got a real little tingle about that whole idea.
Yes,
Because
it was
those,
brilliant.
how do you say those words differently, don't you? When you've heard Dylan say them, and you've heard Richard Burton and Anthony Hopkins, I think, on a recording with George Martin. How on earth do you say them with new meaning, with new
Well,
new ears.
it's amazing the way it worked, actually. Not so much the characters, but definitely the first voice. I mean, everybody knows about the Burton original, 1953, wasn't it? And for the radio.
Yes.
Therefore, you concentrate on the words and you see in your mind what you want to see.
Yes.
Well, now then, he was doing it far more naturalistic, really.
Yeah.
And I loved the way he did that he was breaking up the sentences, etc. And then people were just, oh, yes. And then, the sea, the sea's over there. And so everybody's looking
and he was
up there.
describing everything, but it sounds like he was talking, not reciting.
Yes.
It was
So,
marvelous.
you remember, Mrs. Jones, the cockle side by wrinkled side, hairless, and the way he said, he was like he was talking to his father.
Yes.
Yes.
It was very good. It was very cleverly done.
What about, because again, you sometimes think of it as being, people just in chairs sitting around. So I suppose if they're in an old people's homes, they are in chairs. But is there movement as well?
Oh, they move.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The staging was very, very cleverly done. The lighting was good. So as you moved to a certain place, there were different characters sitting in different places. And all of a sudden, they became these characters, the Milkwood characters. And also you had the props. They were moving around. They were bringing on tables and chairs and what have you, different ones. And then they were just turning them over. So at one moment it was Cherry Owen. The next minute it was Mrs. Organ Morgan. So, because the actual table turned over and it looked totally different, so you could accept it all. It was very cleverly done.
Very clever.
That is the great thing about theatre, isn't it? Because once you set up a premise of how you're going to do it at the beginning, I remember Michael Bogdanov used to say, you can have a small cast and they start putting hats and nose. It's a hats and nose job, isn't it? But once you put the hats and nose on, you actually. I mean, I've been, in my show Cappuccino Girls, I play all the male parts, and I get booed at one section by the ladies in the audience, and then I get cheered again when something else happens. But they accept it because you become the character that you're supposed to be.
Right.
Everybody buys into it. Is it difficult for the two of you? Because Olwen, you were in the very famous film production. We talked about that previously, and people can go back and have a little look at that on one of our podcasts. Is it difficult not thinking, well, that's not right. That's not right. They don't say it.
Well,
they don't
more
do
for
like
me than Olwen, I think.
Yeah, the thing is, I can accept, trying to do something in a different way, being an actor mainly, whereas John is
What are you implying?
No. Number one, you're the performer.
I do.
And also, I think you know the piece better than
I know
me.
the piece inside out because I love it. I used to listen to it when I was on sea, doing the cabaret. I used to put the headphones on and listen to the Burton version. So consequently, one word out and I knew it was wrong. Yeah. I mean, one thing that did irk me, there was a passage where it's Cherry Owen, I think, where he comes home drunk. In the original, it's done lightheartedly. The woman said, "What happened then? Oh, you came in and you fell over. They're all fishes and eels, and then you danced on the table and said, anyway." But she's doing it like she's enjoying it, and eventually, what she say at the end? I've got two husbands and I love them both, one drunk and one sober. They did it totally different. Yes. She was berating him like, "You came in here, you were drunk, and you chucked off." So it was like an argument as opposed to the way it was written. Yeah.
I think they brought it up to date. There's so much going on about domestic abuse. Yes. I think
it was PC,
It was, which was okay. Once you accept that that's what they're doing, it's fine. And I think it's quite all right to do that sort of thing. But that was one thing that we found a bit strange. But I've seen lots of productions, and I think this is one of the better ones that I've seen because the way it was done, it was slick. It was really an enjoyable time. And I was very excited. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, it held your attention for the whole 2 hours.
Yeah. It was supposed
there was no interval at all.
No interval. It was supposed to be 2 hours, 5 minutes, Michael Elwyn said. So they had to cut it down to 1 hour and 3/4 because, you can't use a bar or anything like that. If you want to order something, they bring it for you in a bag, and then you got it for the rest of the day. We didn't bother with anything like that. I prefer to concentrate on what's going on on the stage. So the thing is, 1 hour and 3/4, I think, is enough to ask for an audience just to sit there and be really enthralled, So I think that was good. There were quite a few little cuts. And perhaps it was a shame, but then that's what they had to do, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was young, I remember hearing that Dylan Thomas voice, and for a while I couldn't get past that. I was sort of so. I don't know. If I'm honest, it put me off because it was
the way Dylan used to
mesmerising.
speak himself.
Yes.
But
he had a funny voice, and he's right on the posh.
Well, he tried to be posh. Yes.
Yeah. And I thought it was like a serious piece. Now, bear with me on this.
Yes.
But George Martin did a version. Must have been in the 80s, and he had Anthony Hopkins. He had Jonathan Pryce, but he also had Tom Jones. He had Bonnie Tyler. He had Alec Jones.
Oh, yes, I remember that. Yeah.
It's a double album, and I because the music is written by George Martin as well, and Mark Knopfler, and Elton John wrote one of the songs.
Yes.
And I suddenly realised how wonderful the words were.
And funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
And rude. Funny
and
rude,
yeah.
Oh, goodness me. I was quite shocked with my non-conformist upbringing. I was quite shocked. But it's funny, you know, like you're saying now, the words that the way they used to, by the drunk coming in, I'm married with two husbands, one drunk, one sober. Yeah. It's interesting because songwriters have the same thing, isn't it? I mean, Bob Dylan always says, you know, what's this song about? And he says it's about 3 minutes, you know. And Don McLean about American Pie, what does it mean? It means I never have to work again. Sometimes the words, once the writer has written the words, they actually don't belong to them anymore. No. It's up to the person who interprets them, isn't it? And that's isn't that a wonderful thing that even after all these years, it can be different. It can have different meaning just about the way you stress it as an actor.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that was a great thing about it, that it was like a rebirth, if you like, in a way, you know, in many ways. I think this is mainly because of the way that that Sheen actually delivered the lines, you know, because, and it was fabulous it was so natural.
It was like when I heard Anthony Hopkins playing Othello.
That's right.
And it's the first time I've understood Shakespeare because he said it like it was proper speech. Yeah. You forgot it was Shakespeare. There's so many funny lines. You can listen to that thing and you find a funny line somewhere else. Yeah. I mean, you know, the one that really makes me laugh, there's terrible to die of drink and agriculture.
Yes.
He was sleeping with his little weakness in the cornfield and he was sighing to death. You know what I mean? This wonderful stuff.
So, did you get a chance to see any of your mates afterwards, or have you been in touch with them since?
Yes. We saw Gaynor Morgan, who got us the tickets, and you saw Michael Elwen, didn't you? Because they came out the stage door for a bit of a breather.
But they had to go back. They were filming it that day. They were doing a film of it for the matinee. We went to a matinee, see.
Lovely.
So they were filming the matinee, and then they were filming at night. So unfortunately, the whole cast had to go and have notes again, and perhaps they were going to do a few changes because Gaynor was saying, well, they were changing everything to the last minute, she said, you know. And she said, I don't know how Michael Sheen managed. She said, because he had to cut in between sentences and everything, and he knew it backwards, forwards, inside,
how he
outwards.
Learned all that.
It was brilliant.
You know, it was because normally it's red, you know, but I mean, goodness me.
So we saw them, but I've spoken to Gillian afterwards as well, Gillian Elisa, who's also in it, and so I had a good chat with her. Was it yes? No, it was Monday. She rang me on Monday. So, but we'd sent messages to everybody to say, "Oh, fantastic!" You know, it was.
It was a great show.
It was. I felt very proud that you know. Our friends had done so well, and it was such a lovely production. Yeah,
and also to have that Welsh story being told with those Welsh voices right in the centre of London as well. That's always something to
well, yes.
Yeah.
And there was a mixture of people there. They were mainly English or foreign, whatever, you know. So I didn't see anybody else there from Wales. There might have
and you'd have known them, Olwen. You'd have known them.
Yes, probably.
They're known as.
That's a laugh.
Do you know what? There's lines in it which I know what it means because I'm of a certain age. Yeah. But I wonder sometimes. There's one line is that go to the Emporium on the hill where the money sings on wires. Do you remember? They used to pull the wire.
Yes.
But I mean, a lot of people younger than us wouldn't know what that was.
No, it's
I remember it in the Nelson in Carnarvon. Yes, I was fascinated.
Lewis in Swansea, I remember it. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, I'm glad you had a nice time. Have you got any more trips planned?
Oh, and then on the way back.
Oh, yes.
Oh, what happened?
We called to see where Dorothy Squires used to live in Bray.
Right.
Because it's just off the M4. Because the house now is in 3. People have made that big house into 3 parts. Right. And it's still called Langtree House because Lily Langtree had it built for her, apparently,
Yes.
by the king who was
Yes.
having the affair.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, I go past my point. But there's a lovely restaurant and a pub there
Yes,
called
the
the
Crown.
King, the Crown.
Right.
So I knew about this. So I phoned ahead as we were on the motorway,
Yes.
didn't I?
Yeah.
And it was, oh yes, we got some room for you. So we stopped there, had a lovely meal on the way back.
And it was in a sort of teepee-fied
Marquee.
marquee.
Because of the COVID, you know.
And they've done it in the gardens. There were trees in the middle of there. And it was a lovely evening. Oh, we had a
We
super
had a
time.
great day, didn't we?
We did.
So we left at 8 o'clock from Cardiff and we were back by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we did all that.
Yes.
Fantastic. Living the high life. Well, good for the both of you.
Absolutely.
And
Aren't we fortunate?
yeah, did the grandchildren miss you?
I don't know, we didn't have
No, we didn't.
It was nice. It was nice to have a day out.
Oh, lovely stuff. Well, thanks, Olwen, for joining us. Thanks for loaning him again to me this week. That's good.
That's all right. Yes.
Got my gig now. Got my gig on Friday now. So I just
You're
Oh,
sold
all
out,
the
are you?
best.
sold out. I'm just going to
Yes.
start practicing. My fingers aren't too, they're getting harder now. So I'm just going to try and remember how to do a gig.
When are you doing it? Next week, is it?
No, tomorrow. It's on tomorrow now.
Well, we'll talk about it next week then.
Fantastic. Well, if it's any good. If I don't mention
It'll
it,
be good.
if it's a disaster, we won't mention it again. All right, lovely to speak to the both of you. Take care. Lots of love. Bye.
And you.
Oh, and it's
Take care.
sorry, it's goodbye from me, and it's
Goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from us.
That's it.
That's it.
To begin at the beginning.
And the end is nigh.